Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so we're gonna be trying out my first recap of week 14. Week 14 was good. I would say it went well. Um, for all the teams, um, not too many teams got blown out too bad, and we saw a couple of good games and a couple of not as good games. We still have the probably one of the best games of the week tonight. So we get to see the Rams play the Cardinals, and that'll be a huge divisional game, and it could even come up a little more with playoff spots. So let's look at how they did. Okay, so with the Patriots, they still have the division now. They are 9-4, and the Bills are 7-6. So the Patriots have the division pretty well right now in their hands. Um, it's looking good for them. They're playing the Bills again in a couple of weeks, so we'll find out more about that. And the Bills still have a chance at the first seed in the division, but I don't think it's looking good for them. And then the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 6-7. They've still got a pretty good chance in the playoffs. It just means they have to hold off and win the next couple of games like they did last year. And then we saw a couple of our first eliminations of the season. We saw the Jets get eliminated at 3-10 right now. Um, so that is not great, but they will have some good draft picks. So looking on the bright side, that's pretty good. Okay, AFC North. So the Ravens, they're 8-5, and they I don't know. It was a tough game against the Browns, and with Lamar getting hurt in the game, you never know what's gonna happen. But they pulled off a pretty good game. Um, I think I think they're just gonna have to keep working hard. They've still got the division. The Browns are 7-6, the Bengals are 7-6, and the Steelers are 6-1. So that division is close. And even losing a game would hurt a lot. So every team in that division needs to be consistent and keep winning. Um and the Steelers, it was a it was a disappointing loss. It was just disappointing, and I guess that's what happens. And then yeah, the Browns pulled off a huge upset to the Ravens and had that Myles Garrett touchdown off of a fumble. So I would say right now, nobody is decided to make the playoffs in that division at all. Okay, now is the AFC South. So um, we've got the Titans, the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars, and both the Texans and the Jaguars are eliminated now, with the Texans being 2-11, losing to the Seahawks, and the Jaguars being 2-11, losing to the Titans. So both teams got beaten pretty bad, and looking again on the bright side, both of them have pretty good picks right now in the draft. And there's a couple of great players in college, and they'll have good chances at picking them in drafts. So there's always next season. So, and then looking on the good side for the Titans and Colts, the Colts are finally having a good record, and they just came off of a bye. They're 7-6. The Titans are 9-4, coming off of beating the Jaguars 20-0. So that is a well done job for them, and they have to keep it up. They've done great without all their injuries. They've played well. So the Titans should clinch the playoffs in the next couple weeks. Okay, the AFC West. The Chiefs are on a 6-game winning streak, which is great for them. It was looking bad a couple weeks ago, and here they are, 9-4, number one team in the division. We have the Chargers close behind, 8-5, the Broncos 7-6, and the Raiders 6-7. The Raiders, they've had a tough time. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and both times they've played the Chiefs, they've been destroyed. So they need to start winning games if they want a chance in these playoffs. They are only 3 games behind from number one spot, but it's going to be hard to get in the playoffs when they've lost so many of these games pretty bad. The Broncos, I mean, is a 7-6 team right now, and how they've played, I think they've got a good chance at the playoffs. They've played a great season, and I feel like they've got a chance at. And yeah, so just they've got to continue. And then the Chargers, they've done good. They've won 2 games in a row, and they've played well. Um, they have to hold on to their division and try to get in to a wild card position if they can't make it for number one in the division. Okay, we move on to the NFC. So the Cowboys, the football team, the Eagles, and the Giants. They're relatively close. The Giants, I'm surprised, aren't eliminated yet. They're 4-9 and are 3-5 in the conference. So Giants are also another team just looking for next year. Going to see if they can maybe get a new quarterback, get a better offensive line, as they've had struggles with that this year. Um, so we'll see what happens. You never know, but I feel like the football team and the Eagles, their playoffs, they're going to have to win the rest of their games of the season, the next 3 games. And the Cowboys, that game against the football team was pretty well. Their defense played great. So I feel like the Cowboys have pretty much got it wrapped up. But they were looking between the Eagles and the football team for a wild card spot. The Packers last night, they had a great game against the Bears. The Bears, though, I was surprised. I mean, that's pretty good to score a bunch of points on the Packers defense. So I'm saying the Packers, probably they've got it wrapped up. I mean, unless they lose the next 4 games and the Vikings win the next 4, they're not gonna go down. So the Packers have got that division pretty much wrapped up too. Um, they've played good, and I think the Packers are gonna at least get first, second, or third seed. They Yeah, they've played well. And then the Vikings, yeah, they had a great game. Um, and I think if you guys can do that to the Steelers, missing Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook played amazing. And I mean, if you can play like that, you can play. That is just what you want to see for your team. And so I'd say the Vikings are looking good as a 6-7 team. Okay, up next is the NFC South. So we've got the Bucks, who are 10-3 and who are looking good too. I'd say they've played really well this season. They've won 4 in a row now since that loss to the Saints, or I guess the football team. They've played well. Nobody can doubt that. They had a good game against the Bills, pulled out a last-minute win in overtime, and I'd say they they've had a good season. So they also just another that division's pretty well wrapped up unless the Bucks lose the rest of their games. And then surprisingly, the Falcons, they're 6-7. The Saints are 6-7, and the Panthers are 5-8. The Panthers have lost 3 in a row and started the season off really well, and now they're just looking bad. So I think their playoffs chances are just pretty much done now, which is too bad. But I mean, the Falcons and the Saints, they've got chances because there's lots of wild card spots left. Um, so yeah, they've got chances in the playoffs. Okay, next is the NFC West, the tight division. So the Cardinals and Rams will kick off tonight, at 8:20, and this will be a good game. I mean, we're gonna see a fight for this division. The Rams still um need to pull out and win this game, and then have the Cardinals lose another game to have them in first. But it'll matter tonight. Whoever plays the hardest will win this game, not without a doubt. So, um, I'd say it's going to be a great game. I feel like we're going to see lots of offense, and both teams are looking good. So, yeah. Um, Then is the 49ers and the Seahawks. The 49ers, they pulled out a good win against the Bengals and won in overtime with a leaping touchdown. Um, so I'd say, yeah, I mean, when you're played this good and you've scored so many points, playoffs are there. At least a good wild card spot. They look like either, I don't know, fifth or sixth seed. So they are looking good. The Seahawks, though, I don't think they've won 2 games in a row, but I don't think they've really got a chance at the playoffs. Um, they've had a good season, um, but since Russ was hurt, I just think that they really don't have a chance. I mean, when you're 5-8, and I already said that Panthers' chances were bad, you just don't really have a chance. But they played a good game against the Texans, but yeah, I just don't think they really have a chance at the playoffs. Okay, so let's go over a little bit of the stats, guys. So tonight we have over Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford. Since Kyler Murray has missed the last couple games, he played last week and he played well. But Matthew Stafford has 30 touchdown passes this year, 3,611 yards. So he has played very well this season. And I think we are going to see, like I've already said, a very good offensive game. The best running back is um, James Conner, and he has 12 touchdowns. He's one of the best touchdown leaders in the NFL with 630 yards. And he's looking good. So we're going to see him a lot tonight. But the Rams defense, they've done good and they haven't allowed too many rushing yards, but we'll see what happens. And then Cooper Cup. I think he is the leading receiver right now in the NFL. He's got 11 touchdowns and 1366 um yards. So, I mean, he's done good. Okay, so let's look at Thursday's game a little bit. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns. And when you do that, you should win the game. They pulled out a last-minute um, drive, a couple drives. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and they just didn't have a great game. But Dalvin Cook, 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is amazing. This is MVP style. Just coming off of an injury, everyone was like, "Yeah, I don't know," and I might have said to sit him in fantasy too, but he played great. Okay, so as we've already said, the Ravens they lost Lamar in the beginning of the second. Tyler Huntley came in. He did good. He threw for 270 yards and 1 touchdown, and I'd say that's pretty good. And Baltimore should have had the win. They should have had it. They shut out the Browns in the second half, but they just could not pull out the win, and lost 22-24. Um, and it was a tough game for them. So the Browns won another game, and we'll see what happens there. And then with the Titans Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, 4 interceptions. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he'd only lost like 3 games in his career, and yeah, it's not looking good. But we'll see what happens next year. They'll get Travis Etienne back, and we'll see some more stuff from them. They have a lot of injuries right now, so 20-0. They held the Titans to pretty good. The Titans were missing pretty much all their receivers, and without Derrick Henry, so to hold out a shutout and to hold out 20 points is pretty good. Then is 2 shutout games that I was very surprised to see. The Saints Jets, 30-9. The Saints had a great game, um, in New York, and yeah, like I don't know, the Saints are 6-7, and they've played well the last couple games. Taysom Hill's done good running. But you guys can't win running because they're playing the Bucks soon, and you don't beat the Bucks running. So Yeah, and then Alvin Kamara with 120 yards and one touchdown. He had a good game, and we saw lots of running from these guys. But like I said, you don't win lots of games when you run the whole time. Um, then next up is the other game that I was so surprised from. 48-9. The Chiefs whipped the Raiders. This is the second time they've done this and this season. And for a Raiders team who have done good, who've pulled out wins against the Cowboys and stuff, you guys can't lose that bad. I mean, terrible game. And still Derek Carr had more passing yards than Patty Mahomes. He had 263 yards and one touchdown. And then Hunter Renfro had 117 yards with one touchdown. So I don't know. This stuff is weird, but somehow the Chiefs pulled out a great game and the Raiders had a tough game. Okay, next is the Cowboys at football team. They pulled out a quick win, and Dak Prescott had 211 yards and one touchdown. And Zeke, again, guys, I already talked about this earlier. Zeke has had 45 yards rushing. I don't know what's going on this season, but he has not played well at all. This has been a terrible season for him, and I don't know what's happening, but he's got to start running more. They've got to give him the ball, and we got to see Zeke again. If I mean, when you play like that, you've got to see the guy who you're paying some of the most money in the NFL. You've got to give him the ball. So yeah, we saw him with 12 carries and 45 yards against the great football team defense. Next is the Falcons Panthers, and in another close game, and Matt Ryan, he had another one of those days that was not great. 190 yards for one touchdown, which was it's good. And then Cordell Cordarrelle Patterson. This guy is unstoppable. I mean, he only had 58 yards, but he catches the ball. He's in every position. He got a touchdown, and this guy is unstoppable. He's so good. And honestly, I think he's changing the NFL, making more positions. Um, okay, next is the Seahawks Texans. The Seahawks pulled out a 33-13 win, and I was very surprised to see Davis Mills throw for 331 yards and one touchdown against the Seahawks D. Um I was expecting the Seahawks to win pretty well, but I was expecting him to throw 5, 6 interceptions. He didn't throw any. So that's pretty good from him. But the two guys that saved the Seahawks, Rashad Penny, Tyler Lockett. Rashad Penny running for 137 yards and two awesome touchdowns from about the 50-yard line on both of them. And then Tyler Lockett with 142 yards and one touchdown. So the Seahawks played well in that game. Broncos Lions. The Broncos pulled out a great game and 21-10 at halftime. And second half shut them out in 38-10. When you're like the Broncos who need to win these games, that is exactly what you want. After the Lions just coming off their first win, that's what you want. You want to tell them, "Hey guys, we are good. We will beat you." And that's exactly what they did. Melvin Gordon with 111 yards, two rushing touchdowns. And Jared Goff throwing for 215 yards and one touchdown. Okay, in a game that looked terrible, it actually turned out to be 37-21. The Chargers beat the Giants, and I tuned in a little bit on that game. It was terrible, just terrible for the Giants. Um, I don't know. They don't have any excuses when they get beat like that. Um, that's not what you want to do. They were losing 30-7 at the end of the third, and they scored two touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So Mike Glennon was also in, and I guess you could say they've got a couple bad injuries, but you guys can't lose that bad to them. So the Chargers go to 8-5. Justin Herbert threw 275 yards with three touchdowns, and he had a great game. Okay, the 49ers Bengals overtime game. The 49ers won the game 26-23 after the Bengals kicked a field goal and the 49ers went down and scored a great touchdown. Joe Burrow, 348 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, we were surprised. We didn't see much of him. Um, he got 18 carries, 58 yards. George Kittle, 13 receptions and a great 151 yards and a touchdown. So all three of those players have had very well played seasons. Okay, the last two games are the Bills and Buccaneers. The Bills, they were playing terrible the first three quarters. They only scored 10 points, and then they pulled off a great comeback and were tied 27-27 and went into overtime, and then lost by a touchdown. Tom Brady threw for 363 yards, 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette with another awesome game, 113 yards and 1 touchdown, and Chris Godwin with 105 yards. And then with the night game, we saw the Bears Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he threw for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. We saw Justin Fields. He did 74 yards rushing. He had the most rushing in the whole game for all the players. And then Devontae Adams with 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I would say when you're the Bears and you scored 30 points against the Packers, you got to be happy. I mean, 30 points is a lot against the Packers, and they played a good game. They gave the Packers a fight, and Packers still came up with a 15-point win. But I'd say that that's pretty good for the Bears. Okay, guys, let's look into week 15 of our 18 weeks. We are edging the close to the end of this season, and it's been a good season. We've seen lots of weird games, lots of good games. We've seen lots of different teams come in and try to make the playoffs a little different, and it's looked good. So, week 15, we've got the Chiefs Chargers. This is going to be one of the best division games in the AFC for the next couple weeks. Kansas City, like I've already said, 9-4. Chargers 8-5. If the Chargers can pull out the win, most likely they will take over the division. If not, they will be very close behind. Raiders Browns, another very good game. This game will depend on each other. The winner the winner will have a better chance in the playoffs. If the Raiders win, they'll be 7-7. Both teams will be 7-7. And if not, if the Browns pull off a win, the Browns should make the playoffs. A game, Patriots Colts in Indianapolis. Both coming off byes and both looking to take playoff positions. The Patriots got to win if they want to hold on to the division more. And the Colts, they have to win if they want to try to take over their division a little bit and see if they can pull off and try to beat the Titans. Then the Titans Steelers, another this is gonna be an awesome week. Titans Steelers. Titans, maybe they'll have more players back. If not, there's a good chance they'll lose this game. I'll come up with my picks in a couple days for all these games, my predictions, and we'll see what happens, guys. But I feel like the Steelers have got a chance to win this game, and they need to win. If they don't win, their playoffs are gonna mess them up. Panthers Bills. The Panthers are looking to try after losing 2 games in a row. They're gonna try to pull out a win and see if they can beat the Panthers. Football team Eagles, another division game, and the football team, they've played well. They had a disappointing loss to the Cowboys, and they're both 6-7. So the winner of this will probably maybe have a 7th seed as we in week 15. Then is the Texans Jaguars, the two teams that are eliminated together. So this will just be a game. I mean, if you're fans of them, good luck. We'll see who wins, but the loser will have a better draft pick. The winner will have a worse draft pick. So I would say if you're in this, just look for the future, and maybe you're going to want to lose this game. Cowboys Giants. The Giants will hopefully have more of their players back. The Cowboys, they're looking good. They're looking good. And they're gonna try to see if they can have 10 wins in this season. Cardinals Lions. Car- Cardinals Lions. Yeah. The best team in the NFC versus the worst team in the NFC. I honestly feel like they're gonna bench Kyler Murray in this game. I mean, it's the worst player versus the best player right now, pretty much, how it's going. So we'll see what happens, but we're gonna see the Cardinals win this game, I'm pretty sure. Jets Dolphins. Dolphins want to win this game. Dolphins gotta try to get into the playoffs. Um, Try to get in for sixth or seventh, and Jets they can pull off anything they want, but we'll see what happens after just getting smoked by the Saints. I don't know what's possible with them. Bengals, Broncos. Guys, this will be a game. Um, the Bengals just came off playing the 49ers, who have had a great season, and now they're going against a team that they don't want to lose to. It's the Broncos. And if they lose to the Broncos, this could put them back a little bit in the playoffs. And being a 7-6 team, they've got to try to pull over this division that they're in. And with the Broncos, they've got to win this game. They can't lose any more games or else they might be out of the playoffs. Okay, so the other games we've got is the Falcons 49ers. It should be a pretty good game, but the 49ers have played awesome, so we're probably going to see the 49ers at home do a good job. Seahawks Rams, it should be another just like that game. Both teams have had a good season. Um I just think that the Rams will probably pull out the win. We'll see what happens tonight. Maybe the Rams lose a couple players. Maybe they do awesome and destroy the Cardinals. But I'm just thinking this is gonna be one of those games where the Seahawks lose. And then we've got the Packers Ravens. I'm surprised this isn't the night game, but the Packers next week. They'll be ready to go. Aaron Rodgers said that his toe hurt a little bit more after the game against the Bears, so we'll see what happens. But maybe Lamar's back, maybe not. He had that ankle injury, and we'll see what happens. You never know. So this should be an awesome game, and both teams are trying to make their divisions a little better and look into more of a playoff spots for each other. The Saints Bucks, they are rematching again for the second time this season, and Jameis Winston is not there. And last time they played, the Bucks actually got Jameis Winston hurt. So um, I don't think that the Bucks are going to lose this game. They've lost the last 3 games, I think, in a row to the Saints in in the regular season. And then Monday Night Football is the Vikings Bears. Um, the Vikings they they had a good game against the Steelers, and the Bears, like I've already said, they had a good game against the Packers. They're both defenses are gonna have to play a little better though. Uh, the Vikings did do a good shutout against the Steelers for a bit, and the Bears did a good job, but they let in too many points to Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully this will be a great Week 15. These are a bunch of the best games I've seen all season. So we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching, everyone, and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like my videos, and also I'll have my picks coming up and all of the fantasy picks coming up on Thursday most likely. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good week.